They're trying to build up the storyline. Alex Paeta, he finishes Israel Adesanya, had him carried out on a stretcher, and then got another decision win over him in kickboxing. Now it's in MMA. Dude's got 6 fights, and now he's finally catapulted up to the Sean Strickland level. Now, brother, these were opening odds, courtesy of William Hill Nevada Sportsbook right here, my man. But the problem is these odds have swelled up pretty significantly, my man. So I do not believe that Alex Paeta is only a minus 115 favorite at this point. And I'll look it up while we're kind of doing this stuff. But at this point, I think Paeta has swelled to at least minus 120. So it looks like what we have right here, my man. When I'm looking it up, we have Sean Strickland. Okay, no. We have a new revelation, AJ, live on the broadcast right here. So last time I checked this, which was like last night, right? Alex Paeta was as much as a minus 120 favorite, and it was even money on Sean Strickland. Now, currently, as I'm recording, minus 115 is Sean Strickland, minus 105 Alex Paeta. So the odds have flipped. So let's talk about it, brother. Paeta, if it's standing, man, that left hand is going to give you real deal problems, bro. Takedown defense is looking solid, and he's such a patient. That's what makes him so unique. He's so large at like 6'4", right? He's patient, and he's willing to just hit you with power. But if you notice, he sits down on all of his shots. Sean Strickland, technically sound, shoulder up, and he's sitting there. And as much as brash as Sean Strickland is, as much as he talks, as much bravado as Sean Strickland has, in the cage, he's very technical. In the cage, he takes almost no risks. Like, at the end of the day, he's a safe fighter. So he's just sitting there, shoulder up, in, out, hitting you with volume. He does swing wild sometimes, so he is there to be caught. But at the end of the day, I do think that this is going to be one of those matchups where Alex Paeta, who's very, very successful in the kickboxing route, is going to come into the highest of levels of MMA, the top 5 of the middleweight division, and have a little bit of a surprise on his hands, being like, this is a little more difficult than I thought. Do you agree with my methodology here? Do you think Paeta comes in and just stiffs him?
No, I agree with you. I think Paeta, as much as the fast track for Paeta is probably the best track, and they're really trying to create that narrative, I think it might be a little too fast, man. There's nothing worse than when you are that patient, that calculated striker that has been doing it for years. You're so comfortable in there, and a dude comes up and keeps shoulder rolling you and then talking shit to your face, calling you, all kinds of expletives and all these words, and then he's walking you down, there's nothing else you can do after that, because he's going to be the fighter. Sean Strickland's going to be the fighter that is way more well-rounded. I don't see this fight going to the ground, don't get me wrong, but I do think Sean Strickland has all of the other intangibles that Alex Paeta just hasn't had enough time to develop. He doesn't have the what's the word I'm looking for, like the poise inside the UFC octagon. Sure, he might have it in the Glory and in the kickboxing and all these other ones, but when you get in there, you got 4-ounce gloves, and the dude can shoulder roll. He's getting up close, clinching. There's a lot of other things that this fight game is just so much more than just kickboxing. So we might see Sean Strickland jump to the ground, but I doubt it. I think it's going to be a classic technical striking battle. And there's nothing worse than when you're fighting your best fight and the dude standing there is taking everything you can. You're feeling him just roll the punches right off, dipping underneath, and then he's still right there talking shit, ready to fight and bringing the fight, man. That's the thing about Sean Strickland. This dude brings a fight regardless, which is kind of a double-edged sword. You know what I'm saying? Like, if he has crisp hands, he's in there, he's mean, but if his ego gets the best of him, he might catch a thumping left hand from Alex Paeta, and we haven't seen if the chin of Sean Strickland can hold up like that. I think it can. I think he's very powerful in there, and he's probably the one guy the UFC doesn't want to win this fight. Yeah. Imagine you see Sean Strickland as a UFC, title holder. This dude's a wild man, bro. Wild man, but you gotta love him for it. I love the wild men out there that are they're people. They're their own animal. Sean Strickland is his own animal. Nothing like him.
Yeah, I agree with you right there. Very well said at the end of the day. That was a pretty good analysis of what is taking place here. And I do agree, Sean Strickland, I think he was taught in the media obligations. He was like teaching the media members about like inflation and all that. You know what I mean? Like, this dude is just a nut, man. But once again, Alex Paeta, he might be getting fast-tracked just a little too fast. I do want to touch on that note that you made where you said that we haven't seen if Sean Strickland's chin has really been tested. I will say, out of 15 UFC fights, the man has been finished once, and it was a knockout. And it actually came in the hands of Lizu Zaleski dos Santos. It was a spinning hook kick, followed up by a couple of punches. Only time the man's been knocked out. The man has fought Tom Breeze, Kamaru Usman, Court McGee, Jack Marshman, Brendan Allen, Christoph Jotko, Jack Hermanson. You know what I mean? If we want to go down even further, like, this dude's fought like kind of the best of the best. You know what I mean? Like, a lot of really, really good fighters, and the chin is held up, brother. So I don't think that's going to be too much of a problem. However, I'm not going to sit here and lie to you. I'm going to be fully transparent. The Alex Paeta TKO prop is plus 140, right? So it's pretty good, right? And right now, like on ours, so on the notes that I have right now, it's plus 135. So it's currently plus 140. I actually put in a bet for Alex Paeta knockout at plus 135 just because if there's literally any way for him to win, I think that is the only way. There's no other way for him to win. I don't really see a decision. I don't see you outworking Sean Strickland. He's a volume guy. I think it's going to be very tough. Sean Strickland, he did say, worst case scenario, he's going to take the coward's approach and he's going to start wrestling with Paeta, even though his wrestling isn't too great, but he's going to start grappling with him, you know what I mean, if the going gets tough. But I picked that Paeta prop just because I do think it's juicy, man. I do think that Paeta's left hand, if he hits Strickland in one of those openings, man, he can get the job done. But I'm overwhelmingly in favor of the thought process of Sean Strickland doing what he does best, man. Jab, 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 jab all day long. Look at what he did to Uriah Hall, one of the most dangerous knockout strikers there are. Yeah, he's a little more of a patient guy, but one of the most dangerous guys. And he just picked him apart for 5 rounds, mixed in some grappling, some ground and pound, and just demoralized him. I think we might see something like this, but you tell me, AJ, give me the pushback. Is this going to be a back and forth war, or is this going to be a one-sided demoralization by the hands of Sean Strickland?
I think this is going to be a lot closer to a back and forth war than a lot of people are expecting. Or I guess maybe not expecting because the odds are pretty damn close. So I think it's going to be back and forth a little bit. Alex Paeta probably has the better kicks, has that left hand, all the power in the left hand, but Sean Strickland's a dog in there. So I think we're going to see a back and forth battle going forward. But then Sean Strickland towards the end of the fight is going to start pulling away. Once the ego gets bruised a little bit, or the strikes really aren't falling where they must for Paeta, that's when I think Sean Strickland's mental game and everything else is going to really start pulling away right there. What do you think, Derek?
Okay, brother. So I'm going to ask you this really quickly, bro. Because I agree basically with the sentiment. I think that if this goes long, it's all Sean Strickland. But the question that I have for you is, do you think Sean Strickland gets dropped in this fight? And if he does, how many times?
Ooh, I'm going to say yes, and I'm going to say one.
Okay.
I think he'll get dropped. I think that's when the ego will take over. He's going to start getting a little chippy, get a little proud in there, catch one on the chin, get dropped. But I don't think he'll let it happen again. What about you? What do you think?
I think there is a high possibility of him getting dropped once in this fight. And when he does, I think he won't go mad, man. I think he'll tighten the defenses back up and then get straight back to the technical. That's why you got to love Sean Strickland, man. Because really what it comes down to for him, it's the high guard, for the quick jab, the willingness to stand his ground, the good jiu-jitsu, more of a attrition fighter, but he's heavy on that lead leg. So we do need to see if Paeta tears apart that leg. We'll see what happens. We'll just get into the props, brother. Sean Strickland TKO plus 385, plus 135, like I said, for Alex Paeta. The decision prop, though, plus 275 for Strickland and plus 400 for Alex Paeta, brother. So how do you see this going out?
Oof. I'm thinking decision for Sean Strickland. What did you say the prop was again?
The prop for a decision for Sean Strickland is 275, plus 275.
Plus 275. I'm thinking decision for Sean Strickland. I like the little better. I can see both of these guys knocking each other out, but at the same point, I feel like once you get the chin checked a little, then I think the defense tightens up from both sides. And we're going to see a battle. I'm going Sean Strickland by decision. What about you, Derek?
Yeah, I like Sean Strickland by decision here. Like I said, man, if there is a finish, I do see Paeta bringing the finish, but I do like Sean Strickland on points. I just think that it's hard to outpoint a man like Sean Strickland, who's so busy, who's constantly moving forward, constantly chipping at you, talking, jabbing. You know how it goes. So that's what it is, man. And don't forget, folks, like I said, live in the flesh when I pulled it up, Sean Strickland is now the betting favorite right there. So it goes to show the money is moving.